Seth Ferranti here, your guide through the dark corners of the criminal underworld. As an outlaw filmmaker, author, and journalist, I've delved deep into the minds of gangsters, drug lords, and prison gangs. But my journey doesn't stop there. Let me take you on a thrilling ride as we explore the hidden stories and untold truths that lurk behind the prison walls.
Carmine the Snake Persico's status in the American Mafia was something of an anomaly. He wasn't a rat and was even powerful enough during his multiple-decade reign to call shots from prison after being convicted in the infamous commission trial. The Brooklyn Don has become possibly one of the most polarizing mob figures of the last 50 years, both in the underworld and in mainstream pop culture. He was the last real mob boss of our time.
Carmine the Snake Persico. He was the last real mob boss of our time, a certified old-school OG, who some have labeled the Immortal. But others argue with equal passion that Persico was only ever out for one person, himself, and that persona led to him being called the Snake. Persico was a vicious and cunning mobster that betrayed his comrades to get ahead. To be able to keep power that long from inside prison speaks to the respect he and his family commanded on the street. When Persico died, so did the real American Mafia. His rise in the criminal underworld had a very atypical origin, said Christian Cipollini, the author of Murder, Inc., Mysteries of the Mob's Most Deadly Hit Squad. Persico's family had it pretty good. His youth didn't bear the earmarks of poverty. That said, Persico grew up in an era when legit business folks had nothing on their spec that a lot of Brooklyn kids may have sought and found in the wise guys who basically ran the show, so to speak. Persico, like many other kids from New York in the mid-20th century, looked at the mob guys with a gleam in their eyes. To the Brooklyn kids, the mobsters were the rock stars of their neighborhood. They represented a way of life that defied the law and did things their own way. Persico came up through the streets at a young age. He was a hot-headed, tough little guy who dropped out of school and joined a local gang, the Garfield Boys, where he made his mark while still just a teenager. The youngster upped the ante when he allegedly killed a rival during a brawl. In 1950, Carmine's Garfield Boys had a rumble with the Tigers in front of the boathouse in Prospect Park. A fight over a girl just like in West Side Story, said Michael Benson, the co-author of Carmine the Snake, Carmine Persico, and his murderous mafia family. When it was over, one tiger was dead with bullets in his guts, and another writhed on the ground clutching stab wounds.
You know, the Profaci family, one of the 5 families in New York, they were interested in Persico at a real young age. This dude from a teenager, man, you know, he would fight dudes, he would do whatever. He was a badass, man. This dude was getting down. And, you know, when he was real young, he caught a murder charge. You know, so that was like crazy. It was like this big battle at the park or something, and he came out with a murder charge. He was getting arrested and he was getting away with stuff. So, you know, to the mob, he was an up-and-comer, definitely.
No one remembers a time when Carmine wasn't a gangster. In grade school, he shook down students for their lunch money. The street brawl incident earned Persico major street credibility, particularly piquing the interest of a Profaci family capo. From there on, he moved up the ranks as a good earner and, when needed, a guy who could bring the muscle.
This is what a gang fight looks like. Different towns call them by different names. In New York, it's a rumble. And in case you think this might be just a letting off of boyish steam, look here. These are weapons New York police have actually seized in such fights. They were made for killing, and frequently, that's what street gangs have done with them.
By the time he turned 20, he'd already been arrested for murder twice. When he got old enough, he started working his way into the Profaci family, who were already controlling the Red Hook area of Brooklyn. With a reputation as a tough guy, Persico found that his talents were in high demand. Him and his brother, Alley Boy, started moving up the ladder, explains Frank DiMatteo, who co-wrote Carmine the Snake and was a mafia associate himself during the era. Persico was a gangster's gangster, a man whose life served as the inspiration for not only West Side Story, but The Godfather too. A gangster on the rise, Carmine the Snake, Persico elevated his reputation in a stunning manner. In 1957, he participated in one of the most infamous hits ever with the brazen assassination of Murder Inc.'s head honcho, Albert Anastasia. It was his most defining mob moment. Bumping off Albert Anastasia as he was being shaved on Park Avenue changed the course of mob history. Persico became a made man at 24, the youngest in family history. Him, Joey Gallo, Larry Gallo, and Joe Jelly allegedly got the orders to go kill Albert. Jelly, the Gallo brothers, and Persico went and killed him.